This isn't federal land. It belongs to the people, not the federal government. It's public land.
Protesters who rallied around ranchers have taken over a federal building right outside of Burns, Oregon. Thanks for watching KOIN 6 News at 11. I'm Chris Holmstrom. Militia groups from out of state came to show support for two Oregon ranchers who must go back to prison for starting fires that burn on federal land, even though they already served time for the charges. Well, tonight, protesters decided to take a more dramatic approach. Now, this is all playing out at the building at the Malheur Wildlife Refuge, just right outside of Burns. Our Jennifer Dowling has more.
We've been told that the folks by this fire are on security detail for the night, watching who's coming and going to keep those safe inside the occupied headquarters.
This is the Constitution. That's what we're up here for, the Constitution.
In the bitter cold temperatures and darkness, a passionate group of men and women fan the flames of protest. A flag now covering the sign at the Malheur National Wildlife Headquarters, indicating it's been taken over.
It's the Constitution.
That building is the people's building.
How long will you stay?
As long as it's necessary.
Group leader Ammon Bundy said the federal government has expanded the refuge land at the expense of ranchers.
But this facility actually has been a tool for the federal government to do all those things that they've done to the Hammonds.
Ammon's father, Cliven Bundy, was also locked in a legal dispute with federal officials in Nevada over grazing permits that developed into an armed confrontation between protesters and law enforcement there. Do you anticipate that the government will try to forcibly remove you?
We hope that they will not do that because we pose no threat to anybody.
Earlier in the day, this group of protesters brought Dwight Hammond to tears.
It's the most humbling experience that anybody could have.
More than 100 carrying signs and flags.
Go Hammond! Yeah!
Marching in a convoy to the rancher's home to show their support.
It's not about me. It's about America. And somehow we got to get the wheels back on this wagon because they're flying off.
Court documents state that Hammond and his son Stephen were charged with arson after starting what they claimed were controlled burns on their ranch or near its boundary in 2001 and 2006. Those fires burned lands that they leased from the BLM for cattle grazing. The two said they were trying to control invasive species on their property and prevent wildfires, but they were convicted in 2012. Dwight serving 3 months, his son about a year. Then in 2014, supporters say the federal prosecuting attorney appealed the sentence.
It's clearly double jeopardy. They've already served their time.
An appeals panel decided the sentence needed to be longer to match the charge, and they were told they'd have to go back to prison for 4 to 5 more years. Some protesters also blame the Harney County Sheriff for not protecting the residents of the county from the federal government. They threw pennies onto the sidewalk in front of Sheriff David Ward's office. While some locals marched with this group, others felt it was too much, some posting signs to protest the protesters.
I want them to go home.
I think they intimidate the local people.
Hammond and his son say they will turn themselves in peacefully before the deadline Monday. Dwight says it feels like a life sentence at his age.
This makes it over for me. Don't know what to say. It just seems like a little overreach for having burned 127 acres.
We've been told we're not allowed to see inside the building tonight, but perhaps that could happen at a later date. Meanwhile, the protesters say they could stay here indefinitely. Outside Burns, Jennifer Dowling, KOIN 6 News.